Well, Cub, what's it like for you? I mean, you've been in this position before. It seems like a lot the last couple fights where you're fighting tough guys that maybe don't have the name or the recognition. Yeah. What's it like for you, being in that position?
Well, it could be a little bit more pressure, just because like people expect you to win, or sometimes being the underdog can be easier. But when you're in these big fights and in the main event, I've just kind of sat back and took them as a chance to learn and get better and get comfortable in this situation, so that way when I get the title fight, if it ever happens, that it's like no problem.
I've heard a lot of people ask you about like your contract and rankings and all this, and you've been saying, listen, that's just static. That's outside the fight. How did you get to that point? When did you get to that point in your career where you could stop thinking about those things and just think about what happens inside the cage?
Just having gone through not being able to deal with that and having it affect my performance, and then just really getting down about that and just taking the passion of the sport, because that negativity, just oozes out of you. And I just don't want that in my life, So working with my sports psychologist, just always those little tools of constant reminders going, it doesn't affect the situation, so why stress about it?
Nice. Where do you feel you're at physically and fighting-wise? Because I think as people look at this, they see obviously Brian as the up-and-coming guy, and they see you as the veteran. Are you on the downside? Are you still at the peak? Where are you? So how do you evaluate yourself?
I feel the best shape of my life. I feel like this is the hardest I've ever trained for a fight. With an addition to the family or not, like just in general, I pushed harder than I've ever pushed. And I keep like younger, hungry fighters around me. And we do conditioning, we do things, and I don't lose at things. I think when they start beating me at everything, and when it's, I feel like a decline in my performance, is when I'll admit, like, all right, I'm slipping. But I'm already even changing a little bit of my game to be prepared for that. So you've seen guys like Alistair Overeem change their game plan as they get older. I've already put those tools kind of in process, but they will start shining later when I need it.
You mentioned the addition to your family, still a little young at this point. What's the family plan this week? Are they coming out for the fight? Are they staying home?
Yeah, they're here. They got in last night, so I got to see my daughter last night, and she's awesome. Super blessed with an easy baby, and they're at the hotel. This is my last thing I got to do, then I'll go hang out with them.
They'll be cage side too?
They'll be cage side. Yeah, it's my daughter. This will be like her 6th fight. She's been to boxing matches, MMA fights. She's been to an auction. She's been to a lot of crazy environments. She's used to it, so she'll be excited to see her dad fight live.
Very cool. Last thing for me, I know you're putting all the outside stuff aside, but you mentioned the title shot. Are you thinking about that? I mean, do you feel like, man, I got to go in here and I got to make a statement because I got to jump the line. I got to make sure they know I'm the #1 contender.
Well, I mean, that's just the case regardless. I got to go out there. I got to put on a performance. I'm sick of having 5-round wars. I'm totally willing to do it if it has to happen, but I'd like to end it early. I'd like to make a statement, and then whatever happens after that happens after that.
Just to piggyback off that, with Brian obviously going up against you, wants to make a name for himself by going through you. Conversely, can you do the same? He's got an impeccable resume up to now. He's an up-and-comer, as you mentioned. If you do well, it's going to sit well with a lot of people.
Well, of course. I mean, that's why I'm in the position I've been in, and I want to stay in this position and keep saying, give me bigger opportunities. Every once in a while, I got to turn around and let an up-and-comer get a piece. And I feel like I was like him years ago, and I feel like he'll be a better fighter having lost, and I'd love to give him that lesson.
In terms of the process, going from being on the card to being in the main event, does that change for you?
No, I know ahead of time that I got to do a couple extra rounds, and so I make sure I up the cardio, push the training a little harder, start training a little further out, a little extra media obligations, but that's all mental, and I'm steady the course.
Brian, Cali versus Cali in Fresno. It's got that nice regional West Coast California feel to it.
Yeah, I like it. The biggest thing is I'm bringing a crowd. I know he's bringing a crowd. Fresno's going to show up because they're all fight fans, wrestling background, boxing background. So there's going to be a lot of fight fans in the arena, and that's one thing that gets me fired up is a live crowd.
What was your reaction, Cub, when maybe you knew this before, that this was the first time UFC had been in Fresno?
I take it as an honor, to me, it's like I'm giving a new group of fans the opportunity that aren't going to travel to Vegas or travel to these huge events and be able to just in their hometown go to an arena, bring their kids, and just feel what it's like to be in the arena when it's all happening, not just watching it on TV. And I get to be the guy that headlines that. To me, it's an honor.
Listen to your last answer there. It sounds like you're kind of well aware of the MMA community that exists here in the Valley. I mean, it's strong. How would you describe it?
Well, I mean, just all through California, wrestling's big. I know, especially Bakersfield, Fresno is a huge wrestling area. I've always compared where I'm from, Palm Springs, wishing it would be more like Bakersfield and Fresno as far as like kids wrestling, being involved in one-on-one sports, and I want to bring that back to where I live, and I use that as motivation. So it's pretty cool to be able to be here, and hopefully there'll be a lot of kids that wrestle or do martial arts or box that'll be there and see us, and hopefully I can become maybe one of their new heroes.